The morning sun rises gently through the window, casting a warm glow across the room. A cup of tea rests on the table, steam curling in the quiet air like a soft whisper. In the corner, an old wooden chair sits steady, a silent partner for countless mornings. Mrs. Clara, 72, ties her shoelaces slowly, breathing deeply as she leans forward. Her hands move with care, but her back feels stiff, reminding her of yesterday's struggles. She pauses, remembering a time when bending down was natural, effortless, even joyful. Now each movement carries weight, like an unspoken test of her strength and patience. Yet Clara smiles, because today she has a new practice waiting for her. A simple exercise, gentle but powerful, promising freedom in the small act of bending. She takes a deep breath, steadies herself, and imagines her knees and toes meeting. It is not a race, not a competition, but a gift she offers to her body. Outside, birds sing and the world continues, but inside, something shifts quietly within her. Hope stirs, strength awakens, and Clara is ready to begin her journey once again. The story of movement often begins with something small, a step, a bend, or even a stretch. For many seniors, the idea of exercise feels distant, something reserved for the young and strong. Yet the truth is simple. Movement is not about age. It is about keeping life within reach. Each gentle motion becomes a thread, weaving together moments of freedom and independence. Imagine a hallway where sunlight touches the floor, and a figure walks slowly with care. Every step echoes the story of years lived, memories carried, and strength quietly tested. Mr. David, at 75, once found himself hesitant to move beyond his favorite chair. His body felt heavy, his legs stiff, and his balance uncertain, like standing on shifting ground. He told himself walking was enough, but bending, reaching, or stretching seemed like distant dreams. One morning, while picking up a dropped newspaper, he realized even small actions were slipping away. That single moment sparked something inside, a quiet reminder that movement was not yet lost. He began by standing in place, shifting weight, bending slightly, testing his body with caution. At first it felt strange, his muscles resisted, his breath shortened, his back whispered limits. But with each attempt, he noticed a spark, a subtle freedom returning to his frame. The act of bending was no longer just physical. It became an invitation to live fully. He could reach for a glass on the lower shelf, without hesitation or fear of strain. He could lean forward to tie his shoes without asking for help or feeling dependent. The gentle rhythm of bending became his secret key to unlocking hidden reserves of energy. Neighbors noticed his renewed steps, lighter, steadier, carrying a quiet pride within each stride. David realized movement was not punishment but medicine, gentle and natural, like sunlight or air. It was not about lifting weights or running marathons. It was about claiming freedom again. Every senior has a story like David's, a moment where choice meets the challenge of time. It is easy to let stiffness settle in, to let fear dictate what the body can do. But the body is patient, always waiting for a chance to respond to kindness and care. A simple practice like bending from knee to toe becomes a bridge between weakness and vitality. It does not demand perfection, only presence, a willingness to move slowly and breathe deeply. The gentle power of movement is not in the grand gestures, but in the smallest acts. A bend, a stretch, a breath, each one tells the body it is still alive, still strong. When seniors choose to move, they choose to participate, to engage with life rather than retreat. Movement becomes a language, speaking of courage, resilience, and the timeless will to remain free. The gentle power of movement belongs to everyone, and its gift begins with a single bend. Knee-to-toe bends are not a mystery. They are as simple as breathing, as natural as walking. Picture yourself standing tall, feet planted gently on the ground. feeling steady like roots of a tree. The body straightens, shoulders relax and the breath slows, preparing for a movement both calm and kind. Then comes the bend, a slow forward motion, the knees softening, the back curving like a wave. Your hands reach toward your knees first, a pause to feel balance, a reminder that safety matters. From there, the journey continues, fingertips stretching a little further, guided by patience, not force. Some days the hands may touch the toes, other days they stop sooner, and both are fine. The beauty of this practice is not perfection, but the gentle rhythm of trying, breathing, and moving. Each bend feels like a conversation with the body, asking politely how far it wishes to go. There is no rush, no competition, only a dance between strength and flexibility, played in slow motion. For seniors like Clara, this simple act becomes a ritual, almost like greeting the morning sun. She stands near her window, steadying herself, bending gently, breathing in and breathing out. The knees carry part of the motion, easing the stretch, making the back feel supported and safe. Her toes wait patiently, sometimes touched, sometimes not, but always inviting her hands closer each day. The movement is circular in spirit, down and then back up, a wave that never breaks. When she rises again, she feels taller, lighter, as if the body has shed a little weight. This is the essence of kneetotoebends, a blend of strength, balance, and mindful control. Doctors may describe it as functional mobility, but Clara calls it her morning dance with life. It is a reminder that bending is not about age. It is about staying connected to motion. Even in its simplicity, the exercise awakens forgotten muscles, hidden strength waiting quietly inside. The calves tighten slightly, the thighs engage, the lower back stretches with a sigh of relief. Every part of the body whispers thank you, grateful for the attention, grateful for the care. Clara knows she cannot change the number of years, but she can change how they feel. With each bend, her body learns again, remembers the freedom of youth, and adapts with grace. Knee-to-toe bends become more than movement. They become confidence, a soft promise to keep living well. And in those few minutes of bending, stretching, and breathing, the world feels both steady and kind. So the exercise remains simple yet powerful, a practice that requires nothing but time and intention. It is a gift seniors can give themselves daily, a small step towards strength, freedom, and vitality. Flexibility often fades quietly, like a sunset slipping beneath the horizon without anyone noticing at first. One day tying shoelaces feels natural, and the next it becomes a slow battle with stiff joints. For seniors, this loss of ease is not just about movement. It touches dignity and independence deeply. Mr. James, at 68, once enjoyed gardening, bending easily to plant seeds and pull weeds. But over the years, stiffness crept in, turning each motion into a reminder of what was lost. He began avoiding tasks that once brought joy, leaving tools untouched and flowers untended in the soil. Then came the discovery of knee-to-toe-bends, a simple exercise that whispered of possibility again. At first, his reach stopped at his thighs, his back unwilling, his hamstrings resistant to stretch. But he persisted, gently, listening to his breath, letting time guide the body back to openness. Within weeks, James noticed he could bend further, reaching his knees, then shins, then toes. The stiffness that once chained him began to melt, replaced by freedom in his daily motions. Flexibility, he realized, was not about touching the ground, but about reclaiming everyday life. He could kneel beside his garden once more, planting seedlings without fear of straining his back. He could pick up a book from the floor without hesitation, moving fluidly like before. Even simple acts like getting into bed or turning to reach a shelf became effortless. Each bend reminded him that his body was not finished. It was still capable of change. The journey was slow, but every small gain was a victory, celebrated with quiet gratitude. Flexibility, once thought lost, had returned like a trusted friend, faithful and ready to stay. Seniors often forget that the body remembers. It only needs an invitation to move again. Knee-to-toe bends are that invitation, asking gently, offering strength without demanding perfection. The muscles lengthen, the joints loosen, and the breath carries the motion with quiet steadiness. James felt younger not because years disappeared, but because his freedom of movement returned. The joy of bending is not measured in inches, but in confidence and self-reliance. Flexibility is the difference between reaching with ease and hesitating with doubt. It is the quiet power that allows seniors to say yes to life instead of no. A walk in the park, a game with grandchildren, a moment of laughter on the floor. These are not lost to time. They are reclaimed through patience, through gentle daily bending. James knew now that every bend was more than exercise. It was a story of resilience. His garden bloomed once again, but more importantly, so did he, in strength and spirit. Flexibility was no longer a memory. It had become his present, alive in every motion. Strength does not always come from lifting heavy weights or running long distances across the field. For seniors, strength often reveals itself in the quiet ability to stand, walk, and rise with ease. Everyday tasks like climbing stairs, carrying groceries, or simply getting up from a chair require it. Mrs. Helen, 76, once struggled with these moments, feeling her legs weaken more each season. She avoided long walks, skipped outings, and feared the simple challenge of standing on her own. Her spirit was strong, but her muscles whispered fatigue, reminding her of limits she did not accept. One morning, her granddaughter asked her to play on the floor with building blocks and toys. Helen sat down joyfully, but rising back up felt like a mountain she could not climb. The look of worry on her granddaughter's face lit a fire inside her heart. She decided to fight gently, not with force, but with steady steps toward rebuilding her strength. That is when knee-to-toe bends entered her daily life, simple yet quietly powerful in design. At first, her body trembled, her thighs burning, her calves protesting, her breath catching midway down. But she held steady, using a chair nearby, lowering slowly, then rising back up with will. Each repetition felt like laying a brick, building a foundation for muscles to support her again. With time, the trembling turned into steadiness. The weakness transformed into a quiet current of power. Her legs grew stronger, her back held her taller, her steps felt lighter and more secure. Helen could climb stairs without clinging desperately to the railing, her body now carrying her proudly. She noticed her balance improve, the fear of falling replaced by trust in her own stability. Strength, she realized, was not about looking younger, but about living without constant hesitation or fear. The simple act of bending became her daily training, a practice that built resilience gently. Her granddaughter saw the difference too, smiling when Helen rose easily from the floor to stand. The joy in that moment was not just physical, it was emotional, a bond renewed. Strength gave Helen back her confidence, and confidence gave her back her freedom to enjoy life. She walked further in the park, carried her groceries without asking for help, and felt alive. The muscles in her legs, core, and back became allies again, loyal and ready to serve. She no longer saw aging as decline, but as a chance to nurture her body with care. Knee-to-toe bends taught her that building strength does not require force, only patience and persistence. Each bend, each rise, was a reminder that she was capable, steady, and still strong. And in those moments, Helen rediscovered the quiet but undeniable power of her own body. The body bends, but the mind follows, and together they create a rhythm that feels complete. When seniors practice knee-to-toe bends, it is not only muscle and bone that come alive. It is the mind that awakens too, learning patience, attention, and the art of slowing down. Mr. Robert, 74, once moved quickly through life, rushing even in his older years. But when stiffness arrived, he found speed no longer helped. Only awareness could guide him forward. His doctor suggested gentle bending, not just for the body, but for calming restless thoughts. So Robert began, standing near his window, inhaling slowly, exhaling as he bent toward his knees. The first time, he noticed not the stretch, but the sound of his breath filling the room. It felt like time had slowed, like his body and mind were finally listening to each other. Each bend became more than exercise. It became a moving meditation, a conversation with his soul. The inhale lifted him, the exhale carried him downward, and balance arrived quietly with every motion. His worries about age, about limits, about tomorrow, softened with each deliberate stretch forward. He learned that strength without calm is incomplete, but calm with strength creates lasting peace. Neighbors saw him in the morning, moving slowly, eyes closed, a soft smile touching his face. They thought it was just exercise, but for Robert, it was a daily prayer in motion. The mind no longer raced ahead. It stayed present, steady, as the body bent and rose. This connection between breath and movement gave him a sense of grounding he had never known. Moments that once frustrated him, like dropping keys or standing too long, became easier with this balance. He no longer cursed his body, he thanked it for carrying him still, for trying each day. Flexibility was important, strength was vital, but harmony between body and mind felt like true freedom. Robert realized this was not about how far he could reach, but how present he could be. His grandchildren noticed his calm, his patience, the way he listened without rushing to reply. The practice that began, as exercise had spilled gently into the way he lived his life. Knee-to-toe-bends had become his anchor, reminding him to move slowly, breathe deeply, and stay steady. And with every breath, every bend, he carried peace not only in his body but in his heart. This was the hidden gift of mindful movement, a chance to feel whole in every sense. Robert knew now that the body does not move alone. The mind must join the journey too. Together they create a partnership, a balance, a quiet joy that makes each day worth living. And in that union of breath and bend, Robert found more than exercise. He found his peace. The journey of movement is never about rushing. It is about beginning with small steps each day. For seniors, knee-to-toe bends are not meant to exhaust, but to build confidence slowly over time. Mrs. Anna, 70, started with only 3 bends a day, her body stiff but her spirit willing. She placed a sturdy chair beside her, a silent partner ready to offer safety and balance. Her first attempts were shaky, her hands barely reaching her knees, her breath uneven with effort. But Anna learned quickly that progress was not measured by distance, but by consistency and care. She set a routine, mornings by the window, afternoons after tea, always gentle, always mindful. With each passing week, her movements grew smoother, her body responding with trust and resilience. By the end of a month, she could touch her shins, her balance stronger, her breath steady. The exercise became less of a task and more of a ritual, a moment of peace each day. She discovered tips that made the practice safe, like keeping feet shoulder-width apart for stability. She bent slowly, never forcing, always listening, pausing if her body asked her to rest. Sometimes she used the chair to guide her rise, until strength built quietly in her legs. She celebrated small victories, like reaching her toes one morning, a triumph that filled her with joy. Her family noticed the changes too, how she moved more freely, how her posture grew taller. Even her doctor was pleased, reminding her that such simple habits can protect independence for years. Anna shared her secret with friends, encouraging them to start small, to honor their own pace. She told them not to compare, not to worry about how far, only to keep showing up. For her, knee-to-toe bends were not about touching the ground, but about touching life again. She knew that aging brings challenges, but also opportunities to nurture the body with kindness. Each bend became a reminder that she was still capable, still growing, still connected to movement. The tips she lived by were simple. Start slowly, stay safe, breathe deeply, and celebrate progress. She learned to listen to her body's language, to respect pain, and to rest without guilt. Her routine brought not just strength and flexibility, but joy, because it gave her freedom back. She could garden without fear, play with grandchildren on the floor, and walk with confidence again. Knee-to-toe bends taught her patience, persistence, and the quiet power of daily attention. And in those gentle moments of bending and rising, she felt both grounded and alive. Anna knew that anyone could begin, no matter the age, no matter the stiffness of yesterday. Because strength and freedom are not lost with time. They are built again with small daily steps. The day ends with a quiet room, the light soft, the air calm, and the body at ease. For Clara, David, Helen, Robert, and Anna, the journey began with one gentle bend each day. What seemed small became powerful, turning stiffness into flow, weakness into strength, fear into calm. Each bend carried a story. Each rise carried hope, reminding them that age is not an ending. It is a season of patience, of listening, of honoring the body and its quiet resilience. Knee-to-toe bends became more than exercise. They became a ritual of freedom, a whisper of life. Every touch of knee, every stretch toward toe, was a promise to keep moving with grace. The stories prove that health is not about youth, but about showing up for yourself each day. Flexibility returns, strength grows, balance steadies, and confidence blooms, even in the later chapters of life. As the music of breath and motion continues, seniors discover they are never too old to begin. And in that gentle rhythm, they find not just movement, but a reason to live more fully.